Okay, great, awesome. So I'm Mike Watson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cribber. I spent the last decade working on construction sites around Australia and the Middle East. And just like Yammer was built for the corporate work environment and Slack was built for developers, I've built Cribber for the workforce and high-risk industries and the problems that they face. So in a high-risk industry, communicating information with the workforce is critical for keeping them safe and alive. And yet it's a complex high-risk work environment, so there's so much noise around the information communicated with the workforce. And the final delivery of the information to the workforce is still very manual and largely ineffective. Our solution is providing the right information targeted to the right individuals at the right time across multiple platforms and mediums, with automated compliance reports, making the whole process efficient and effective. We have a web app where managers log in, they can manage their teams, they can target bulletins to groups or contractors or visitors or geo-targeted regions, like for instance with the GeoMobi. And then they can track the engagement with every message that goes through the platform and improve their communication and receive automated compliance reports. The workforce can use our mobile app to receive and engage with that message. They can also do that through SMS and email. And we're going to add communication channels continuously to always be cutting edge, and other mediums. And we see voice and natural language processing as the future of workforce communication. So we'll be implementing that in the near term. We've had some great traction over the past 6 months with big names in oil and gas and construction. A client in the UK that's just signed up for a recurring annual contract. We've got some really exciting trials and pilots with big names in construction and oil and gas. We're $5 per user per month. Our unit economics are looking good. And the market is a largely untouched market by technology. That's the high-risk industries of construction, mining, and oil and gas. So global market, if we look at English-speaking countries only, it's about $2 billion. And if we expand into Asia and Europe, it's about 20. Then once our platform evolves into more than just communication, more of an employee engagement tool, the market expands further. Like I mentioned, largely untapped. Our biggest competition is still really the status quo manual communication methods. Been some investment in construction technology in the past couple of years that we've seen. Companies like Sign On Site doing great work around site attendance. And we do get confused with companies like Slack for communication, which is really unsuitable for a high-risk work environment. But we don't see them as competition, more as a future integration partner. Our go-to-market strategy is inside and enterprise sales. This is our sales funnel at present, and it does represent over 150,000 potential seats, or about 10 million in recurring annual revenue. Our team has a wealth of experience in construction, mining, oil and gas, risk, venture capital, software development, and startups. And we are raising money. So if you're an angel, we'd love to talk to you about our company. With the funds that we raise, we want to do a lot with our product around voice technology and artificial intelligence coaching around communication, and of course integrations, and push out sales as well to grow our user base and to grow our revenue. So if you're excited about workforce communication, do reach out to me. My details are there below. Thanks.
Great, awesome, Mike. All right, why don't you throw your face back up on the screen there? And yeah, just as an example, I mean, we use Slack here at the Founder Institute, but we are very far from a high risk business. You know, our use case, we send a lot of stupid memes and GIFs and things like that to each other. So
yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that.
No, I think one of the, and just to comment on the pitch itself too, for someone in the space that sees a lot of pitches, that sees a lot of deals from startups and you know, from the investor side as well, the unit economics in the presentation are excellent, right? And for those, if you are watching and if you are an entrepreneur, or even if you're an investor, maybe just getting started on this thing, you know, go back on the video and just check out his slide on unit economics, where he breaks down literally all of the very, the finite parts of the business, not only just the customer acquisition cost and the lifetime value, but also the sales cycle, right? Because especially when you're selling to some bigger businesses, that's one of the biggest risks that you can have. And it looks like you've gotten the sales cycle to a pretty decent state. And so that was my first question too, is, how, is there any trick to that, or how do you think you've been able to get that sales cycle to a good size?
It's evolved, I guess. We've managed to get our message a lot clearer, know who we need to speak to within the organizations, and know, like, in our pipeline, we do have some of the big elephant companies in there as well, but also targeting, the deer companies where the sales cycle is shorter, so we can actually get it moving faster. And the industry is funny. It's very risk averse. So once you get a couple of companies on board, the others tend to follow, which helps as well. So it means everything kind of starts speeding up. And also the nature of our platform is that when each project or worksite, you will always have more than one company involved. So one of our first projects was with Woodside, and they had some people from Subsea 7 on the project, and then from that, just naturally, it spun out to another project with Subsea 7, which is a completely separate account. So that helps speed up that whole customer acquisition, reduce the cost and speed up the rest.
Right. And as you said, I think you phrase it really well, is that in a lot of these cases, these sort of old school businesses, but just a lot of the ones that still rely on paper, right? Your biggest competitor is the status quo. And in those types of businesses specifically, working kind of bottom up, gaining trust and gaining other people is the fastest way to really change the behavior from a lot of people that are just super risk averse, right? So I think it's really, really smart strategy. And I've definitely personally seen a lot of companies try to pursue these types of businesses that try to go top down and, invest a lot in, really expensive salespeople and to, flush a lot of that money down the toilet. So I think the approach you guys are taking is super smart. So we got some questions here from the audience. So let's see. So Richard just had a less of a question, more of a suggestion, but TickForce, a company in Perth dealing with compliance mining, Richard suggests that you check them out. RBH asked, did you support only text chat, or can you support sort of like 3D work instructions? I guess that would be much more than, is it just a text-based client, or is it supporting other things that, kind of will fit into other risk-based realms, right? I guess is how I would interpret that question.
I think I can answer that. So at the moment, the communication that goes out, is a text message with attachments that are images. You can embed videos in there. But one of the advantages we see of using us as the platform for communication with the frontline workforce. So we're not talking about engineers and just them. It's everyone on site. But being able to push something out and then like deep link through to the right application. So we do see an integration, and we've already met with Safety Culture to integrate with iAuditor, which is an excellent checklist application used around the world, so that we can send out the information associated with some incident that's happened on site with some piece of equipment, with the information about how it failed or what have you, and then link directly through to start the inspection of that person's piece of equipment. So you get all the context around what's happened, why it's really important that they go and inspect that piece, and then also start the inspection with the right form, asking the right questions. And that's just one example, but it can go further. You could take that to any kind of application. But if you think about it in the same type of the way that Slack works with all their integrations, that's really how it works.
Right, get people into a platform that solves some of their most day-to-day needs, and then that can open up opportunities to grow the platform in the future.
Right.
So let's see. I saw that Richard also asked, is this just a monitoring, or is it for filtering as well?
Uh,
Does that make sense as a question?
I'm not sure. Not sure.
Okay.
So I guess one way of answering that, we are tracking all the information around engagement with messages. So then, as a manager, you can go back and review how each communication was received by the workforce, especially around the tone, what was the subject, how much engagement, what was the feedback, were people pleased, engaged with reading it for a long time, all that type of information trended over time helps communication. We're also planning to really build a data model around that, to coach people that are communicating on our platform about when they're not using the right communication or in best practices. Not sure if that answered the question, but
no, it does. I thought maybe it was some industry jargon, to be honest. But I have a final question here too, and if anyone does have any final questions for Mike, please throw them in there. But just you mentioned on the funding that you guys are looking for. Obviously you've done a bunch of trials with some large companies. I saw Maersk was on there, and some other big ones that I recognized, and you're getting the unit economics down to a pretty good state just from a pure business perspective. What are some of the first things that you guys will look into invest in as a business, with some injection of funding?
We have a lot of product work to do that we think will unlock a lot of growth for us internally with our current customers. That they're asking for a lot of things that they're already aligned with what we're doing. So a lot of it will be product, and then just getting out there and really going for global growth, especially in countries that have similar occupational health and safety standards, such as Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, and the US. That's really our focus for the next year, basically. And integrations is going to be a big thing as well, which will help our product be really sticky. Once we get in with an organization, they start to integrate their systems, their ERP systems with our systems to push out notifications automatically for certain events, and really relying on us to do the tracking and compliance piece, the last mile, like parcel, but with a last mile digital delivery of information to a workforce.